But would you be better served in having some stopgap catching solution like 2/3 of the teams in baseball, a guy that just functions behind the plate? Bring in Bregman, who's a winner, has some that kind of like that gritty DNA. I think this team could use a little bit more of that. I think he would change the feel of your lineup. There's a little bit more of a professional approach there. He's a little bit more of a not a boom or bust guy. There's a little bit more of a dynamic quality to him. Another veteran guy. I'm sure Harper would enjoy that. You better that way? Like, are you better that way? Getting rid of Realmuto, going Bregman to third. Now you have the Miller-Stott overlap in the middle of the infield. Like, it gives you a little bit more flexibility. Hell, you could probably trade Miller at that point if you wanted to. Could you?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. The problem is when you say a stopgap at catcher, like, it's got to be a little bit more than a stopgap because in reality, I mean, you don't really have that catching prospect in your system. That's even a couple years away.
What scares me with the Realmuto thing, though, like, credit to him. He was pretty good the second half of the season. Another guy who really changed the feel of his season as things went on. And, he had a big hit in the playoffs. And let's do some over-unders next season on JT Realmuto. Does he hit 260?
No.
Does he OPS over 730?
No.
Does he hit over 15 home runs?
No, that's probably about the number. You're probably right.
And he's
there.
Probably like the 7th to 9th best defensive catcher in baseball at this point.
Yeah.
He's a good player. And
yeah.
He's tough as shit. And I like the guy on a personal level. And I have a ton of respect for him. Where this team's at right now, like, is that enough if it's going to preclude you from upgrading elsewhere? That's the question. I personally would bring him back. Like, so I'm not challenging that, but I do think you have to think through it. Like, if I were the Phillies, like, I would bring back Schwarber sight unseen, just do it. With the Realmuto thing, like, I'm like 90% in. I would just crack the door a hair to be like, is there some other allocation of these funds where we could make ourselves markedly better? Like, I don't think that possibility exists, but man, like, I just would leave the door cracked. That's all.
Yeah, and this Joe Papel says, be careful. What is Realmuto's loss impact on the starters? That's the biggest thing. Like, I don't care about his offensive numbers. I really don't. Like to me, you could bring in Victor Caratini and have him and Marchand split it and get the equivalent of what JT would have given you, right? Sure. Offensively. So I'm not worried. The offensive numbers are irrelevant to me. It is more about the game planning and managing the pitching staff. And he's a big part of why the Phillies' strength is their starting pitching and is their pitching staff, because of the way he game plans and he's the lead dog in those meetings, right? Like, I mean, and they've said it. Everybody said it. Rob Thompson clearly trusts JT with that more than anybody else, right? Like, so that's where the question of the impact is. And that's where you have to really weigh it, to me, more than anything else. Say, don't worry about the offensive numbers. Is giving up on JT going to hurt our pitchers? That's how you have to value what he brings to the table. I don't care if JT Realmuto hits 205. Like, it doesn't matter. You bat him at the bottom of your lineup. If the pitching staff is going to still be as good as it is, then he's got value. Right? Like, that's, to me, that's what matters more with the catcher.
And you think he is that important? Like, you would err on the side of like, yes, like I wouldn't want to run that risk. What if I individually went through the impact of that starting rotation one by one? Suarez won't be here, likely. Aaron Nola stunk last year. So how much did JT Realmuto help Aaron? I'm just playing devil's advocate, by the way. I'm not like,
I get it.
I agree with you. Like, everyone watching this, I agree. Okay. But let's go through the exercise. How much did JT Realmuto help Aaron Nola last year? He looked like a dead dog out there most of the season.
Yeah, no, he didn't.
Okay.
Nobody helped Aaron Nola. Like, you could have brought back, Johnny Bench, and he wouldn't have helped Aaron Nola last year, right? So
Christopher Sanchez finished second in Cy Young voting. We just totally overlooked that, by the way. Like, like everyone, like, the guy was literally Cy Young this year. Paul Skeens did not exist. Like, and we just like, he's really good. Like what
Yeah.
a year that guy had. And we almost just like took it. I feel like some of us sort of took it for granted. I certainly did.
But I think I look at
Sanchez elevated to that level in part because of JT Realmuto, and you give him a lot of
yes,
credit for that. So you would
I
think that
do.
there would be a potential for regression there without him.
Well, I won't say regression per se, but I mean, I do think that the sequencing and the calling of the pitches and knowing the opponent and knowing what stuff works best for Sanchez in those moments is all JT. Like he's the one calling it. Like he's calling those games, and so like I do think that there's great value there. Whereas another catcher might not be as good at it, and then there might be that slight regression.
Well, and so I'm ordering these pitchers in a certain way, like because there is a question about Sanchez, right? In terms of how important would Realmuto be to him. Then I would go to Wheeler when he returns from injury, assuming that he does, and all indications are that he will. Would Wheeler struggle without JT Realmuto? Because to me, it's almost like you could catch Zach Wheeler at this point, and he's been that good where I'm not sure that it would totally matter. The question I would really have, though, you look at Sanchez's evolution, right? And you look at how, Painter spent a lot of his season ago on a little bit of shaky ground. And I think that Garrett Stubbs being down there probably helped. Even though it didn't show up in the results and the execution necessarily, I think that Stubbs, if I had to guess, probably played a little bit of a reassuring role in his development and saying like, hey, you can work through this.
And not just him. I mean, Mick Abel as well, which you eventually were able to get Duran because of that. And I think that if you go back and look at it, Bob, they brought Stubbs up as the extra guy in September for no reason other than thank you for what you did with these young kids. That was it. I mean, there was no other reason. He barely played, right? But he got a major league salary for a month. It was almost like a bonus thank you for being an extension of the coaching staff in AAA.
Well, and so here's where I'm at. So much of where, and this is where I'll finish this thought, so much of where the Phillies are heading and their future success is going to be dependent upon Andrew Painter's evolution. If Andrew Painter stinks, this is going to get hard for them.
Yeah.
And I think the expectation is that he's still going to be a top of the rotation guy. Like you better be sure from a developmental standpoint that you have every asset and every, benefit available to him to help him get to where he needs to go. And if you think that Realmuto is really going to be that important, then for that reason alone, I would say that that's worth a few million,
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. And that's why I think he's going to be back. That's why I really think I think that they value that part of what JT Realmuto brings more than anything else. And that's why he's going to be here. And Realmuto himself, I think, likes it here. I think he likes being in the role that he's in with the Phillies. And so I think that there would be a mutual interest in coming back. It's just about how long the contract is and how much you're willing to spend. I don't think that the dollar figure is going to be hugely different. I think the term, you might see another team look at Realmuto and go, we value that just as much as the Phillies. We'll give them an extra year. Yeah. And then the Phillies have to make that determination. Like, do we want to do it? Do we want to swallow that and make it?
Well, you always look at it through the lens of the team and how they're going to decide. It's just, to me, it's like if you have, let's play this game. The Phillies, will offer him 2 years, $27 million. And another team offers him 3 years, $36 million. Now, $9 million is a lot of money. $9 million guaranteed is a lot of money. That extra year matters. I always look at it, though, from the standpoint, too, of, well, I can maybe exist in this league another 3 years. I can probably sign one more deal after the two. It'll cut into that $9 million delta a little bit. And how much do I really want to uproot everything now that I'm in my mid-30s, now that I'm getting to, or will be in my mid-30s? I'm getting toward the end of the line here a little bit. Do I really want to up and go to the, insert team here? I don't know.
Yeah,
I would think, knowing what I know about him, knowing his fit in the organization, that he would want to be here. It would be his preference.
Yeah, and I think that a lot also will have to be dictated by what does JT looking at his future beyond the playing days. what does that consist of? Right. And let's say he's a guy who wants to, and I don't know this, but let's say he's a guy that wants to get into coaching.
Yeah.
Right. Let's say he looks at it and says, this is something I want to do. If you're the Phillies, maybe you sit there and go, okay, you know, we're only going to give you 2 years, but if you're not still a guy who could play after that, we'll guarantee you a role in this organization and kind of, you know, moving forward, et cetera, and like in doing that. Like you could do that as well. And that might make
he's made a lot of money. Certainly he can decide how he wants to work and what he wants to do to occupy his time. But I could see that. I could see him being in a front office or being part of a field staff. I mean, he's got the right makeup for it.
He's very cerebral.
He's a guy that shows up, you have a conversation with him, and you respect him.